I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in.
Together, we're Jalen and Jacoby. What is it that we do, Mr. Rose?
We get the people what they want.
Well, for a matchup of 3 and 4 teams, there certainly was a lot of hype around last night's Monday Night Football game. Michael Irvin was on first take sweating and screaming when the game started. It didn't go well for the Cowboys. Look at that sneaky play that the Titans put together. Titans got some touchdowns. While Amari Cooper did get 1 touchdown himself, the Cowboys could not protect Dak all night long. He was getting sacked. He was getting sacked. It didn't look good for Dak and the Cowboys. Jalen Rose, this is supposedly, quote-unquote, America's team. What do you take away from this game from the Cowboys?
First and foremost, I'm going to make sure, as somebody that works in the national media, I don't take the what's wrong with the Cowboys spin without acknowledging the fact that they got beat on their home field by the Tennessee Titans, who did a terrific job of converting on 3rd down. I think they were 11 for 13. Mariota had 3 total touchdowns. Now, for the Dallas Cowboys, a couple of things. One, it was a great pickup for Amari Cooper. And I know people are going to question whether they should have gave up a first-round pick or not. The bottom line is he's going to be a productive player. The true issue with their team is the offensive line isn't what it used to be, and Dak Prescott still has to prove that he's a franchise quarterback. He's had 2+ turnovers in the last 10 games. That's the longest stretch in the entire NFL. So it's going to be interesting to see how this year progresses and if they're going to look toward him to give him franchise-changing quarterback money to play on the center for a team that gave Ezekiel Elliott 0 touches in the 4th quarter. 0 touches in the 4th quarter.
6 touches in the second half. It was just confusing the way they played. And Dak, you mentioned Dak's turnovers, one of which was a great play, strip sack, that was fine. The other one was the throw to the end zone. Amari Cooper is double-teamed, and just the way that he threw it, he had his right foot in front of his left. It was like he was shooting a floater. He just tossed it up there, and Byard came down with the reception, the interception. And what he did next was interesting. Let's take a look. He took the ball. You know, this is the look at his feet when he throws this, like a little fadeaway, like Michael Jordan 3. And then he runs to the Dallas Cowboys star, a la Terrell Owens, and does that. Jalen Rose, I enjoyed this moment because you know I'm here for the drama and the disrespect and the Irish jig on the star. What did you think about that move from Byard?
I'm not mad at it at all. The one thing I learned a long time ago as somebody that was a trash talker is you can say or do what you want, but however, you got to be ready to deal with the consequences that come with it. So now if I'm the Dallas Cowboys and I think players are going to start making this a practice, trying to disrespect, because you did use that word because that's what it is, and go to the flag, go to the midfield every time they score, something happens great, they now should come up with a strategy to make sure that they find a way to discipline that person when it takes place. They looked a little confused and a little surprised by it taking place. I understand they were a little dreary because it was a standing 8 count, understanding that your quarterback just threw it to a guy who was bracketed. He was basically the only guy in that area and had no chance to complete that pass. So I'm pretty sure the rest of the guys were a little dumbfounded as it was taking place. But next time they should be ready, and they shouldn't let that slander continue to take place on their field.
I think as the defensive players run on the field after a turnover, they're going to start doing a little detour right next to the star just to make sure nothing happens. Well, as he always does, Jerry Jones had something to say after the game. Let's listen to Jerry.
Really disappointed. We certainly didn't see this coming. If you will, it's a step back for us. Well, I think after 8 games, when you've won 3, that's cause for concern. We've got to play better. The record could be better than it is right now, and we'd still be in trouble. I certainly think that each individual player and coach and front office person is going to have to do better.
Have you heard anything about how...
me.
Do you think Jerry Jones is going to fire Jason Garrett or make any big personnel moves or do anything to change the course of this team this year?
Not during this year, because it doesn't necessarily help the continuity of your team to fire the coach at this point in the year, especially when they have the level of relationship that they have. And I do believe, however, at the end of this year, they should strongly consider moving in a different direction. But then I thought back to something. Early 2000s, one of my mentors in this business, James Brown, going to spend time with him, Terry, and Howie. And also, Jimmy Johnson. And it reminded me of something. He's still not in the Dallas Cowboys Ring of Honor. Now, I know you heard me say this for the last 10 seasons.
Oh, I don't know, just about 1,000,000 times.
And so the reason why I'm pointing this out, and feel free, media members and fans, to take this point and use it as your own and not credit me at all. The reason why Jimmy Johnson is not in the Dallas Cowboy Ring of Honor, though he won 2 championships, is because Jerry Jones is jealous of him. He's jealous of the fact that people gave him some of the credit, most of the credit, if not all of the credit in certain cases. So therefore, he ostracized them. So I don't see that guy going out paying mega bucks to an alpha head coach that's not going to allow him to dictate what happens in practice and on the field. He's got to have somebody in this term, puppet, coaching the team. So that's the dynamic that I want to see how it plays out.
Well, we have a Le'Veon Bell update, kind of. He sent out this tweet where he said, "Farewell, Miami," with a waving hand. Jalen Rose, he has not contacted the Steelers. Are we to assume that this means that he's headed to Pittsburgh?
How about this? He has 8 days in theory to show up to the team. Guess what he's going to do between now and then? Show up to the team. He's going to make sure that he doesn't do anything to forfeit his free agency at the end of this year. So basically what that was saying is, bye to Miami. It's been real. Put my album together. Spit some bars. Got a chance to kick it at Live. Had a chance to be on the jet skis. Now he got to go where it's cold. The weather has changed.
So one thing though about this,
in Pittsburgh.
Listen, I'm not a good speller, but if you know you're going to make national news with a tweet, just read it over, because you did not spell farewell right. You know what I mean? You got to spell farewell right. Come on, Le'Veon. Moving on, Jalen Rose, we have some Uber news. One thing that both Jalen and I do not like is a chatty Uber driver. Well, guess what's worse than a chatty Uber driver? A snitch Uber driver who's recording you while you're complaining about your job. The Ottawa Senators were piled into an Uber. Looks like an SUV. There's like 7 of them in there. They got 3 in the second row. And they were doing what everybody does, complaining about their job. But they didn't know they were going to be recorded and it was going to be put out on the internet. Let's listen to what this snitch Uber driver released to the world.
Do you notice that? Do you notice that when he runs the video, like if you actually do pay attention, he doesn't ever teach you anything. He just commentates what's happening. He's like, here's so-and-so skating on the wall with the box.
Yeah, he doesn't say what to do with it.
Yeah.
Well, here's the other thing, too. We don't change anything ever, so why do you even have a meeting? Like, I haven't paid attention in 3 weeks. And, like, I got my first shift, like, last game. And I
must have been listening in the meeting.
Yeah. And I knew what to do because he hasn't changed a thing.
I also hate how he quizzes us. He's like, what do
you do here, Max?
Max like, I don't know. For me?
Jalen, there's so much wrong with this. So much wrong with this. But first I want to start with the Uber driver. How much, listen, I don't read the terms and conditions on any agreement on the internet I've ever agreed to. I just click the box. Everybody just clicks the box. So maybe he's within his rights to release this to the world. But as a human being, there's got to be some decency to this. Like how wrong is it of this Uber driver to just release this footage?
So when in Rome, you got to do as the Romans do. And there's one immediate distinction that jumps out to me as a mistake that was made by the players. Here's what it was. You pissed off the Uber driver by piling 7 people in his car. That's what happened.
They probably didn't tip. Y'all didn't tip, did you? That's what it is. If they didn't tip, they were probably eating. They probably spilled some beer on one of the seats or something, left a little trash back there. That's a good point, Jalen Rose. This is one of the reasons that you always tip as well. And I've been in Uber with you when we've been discussing something, and you've gone like this and pointed to the camera in the Uber. Like you're always 2 steps ahead when it comes to these things. I'm like, you really think this dude would release what we're talking about to the world?
Absolutely. And again, 1, you acknowledge they probably didn't tip well. But 2, he was upset from the jump because you got 7 athletes piling into my vehicle. This is my moneymaker. This is how I eat.
Ubers. Just get 2 Ubers. That's the same thing. I don't want to sit next. If I made as much money as a professional athlete makes, I would not be sitting middle seat in the back of an Uber. Simple as that. We would get 2 Ubers. I'll meet y'all where we're going. We'll be at the hotel. Don't worry about us. Moving on, Jalen Rose. It is now time for some very important news that matters. Jalen Rose, there is a mystery in Norwich, England. On October 4th, this picture was taken of a BMW several feet in the air in a tree. How in the world does a BMW get into a tree? Was it a flying BMW? Did a superhuman person pick it up and throw it into the tree? How did the BMW get there? Was a crane involved?
That's a tricky question.
I know. That's why I asked it to you.
So, like, maybe this is what happened.
Okay.
The BMW is a test car for what they're trying to do in 2020, a version of the Jetsons. For those old enough with Elroy in the family, they always have flying vehicles on the show.
That's a good theory.
Growing up, I always thought that in the year 2000 this was going to happen. It didn't happen. So that was just a test vehicle gone wrong. That's it.
We're way behind. Second, we have another layer to this mystery. Here's an updated picture of that same spot. The car is gone. What you see there is